It's very nice, isn't it? Seems like the wind has laid down a little bit outside and it's becoming a beautiful spring day again. That's really nice. You know, there was a man who went to a doctor and he said, "Doctor, I am just having a really tough time. I can't sleep well, can't eat well. Just life isn't the same as it used to be. I don't get along with my family at all anymore." The doctor said, "Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take these vitamins and minerals. I want you to rebalance your health. I want you to quit eating from fast food restaurants and eat as healthily as you possibly can. And I want you to walk 5 miles a day. And then I'm going to contact you in 5 days and see how you're feeling." So after the 5 days, the doctor waited and got a call from the guy, and the guy said, "I feel wonderful. Things are going so well. I've lost a little weight. I'm feeling good. I'm eating good. I'm sleeping good." He said, "That's all wonderful. How are you getting along with your family?" He said, "I don't know. I haven't seen my family in 5 days. I'm 25 miles from home." See how we can take something and we have all the right instructions, but somehow we misinterpret these instructions a little bit. That's a good example of that. We all do that. You know, there's a phrase that I base my talk on today, and that phrase we hear a lot. We hear it all over the place, and especially it's a good phrase to hear right now during this time when we are going to be going into a season where we're going to, if you watch any television at all or listen to radio, you're going to hear ad after ad after ad of negativity, and you're going to hear all sorts of things about attack ads on different candidates for office, and it's just going to go on and on and on until November. All around you, as you drive down highways, there will be signs stuck littering the road for us to remember the names of these different candidates and what they're running for, and it's just going to be, we're going to be just bombarded more and more than ever before with negativity and with strife and with conflict going on, and most of it is absolutely useless, unnecessary information, just stuff we don't need. So this phrase really, really helps a lot, and that phrase is, give it a rest. Give it a rest. So the best way to do that and to give it a rest when it comes to this sort of conflict coming forth from our politicians and all around us and from the media is to take a few steps and walk over and pick up, I was going to say walk over and turn off the television, but we don't have to do that anymore. We just walk over and pick up our remote and go click, it's gone. And change all of that for ourselves. Make up your mind from the good information you can get, who you're going to vote for. Be sure to vote, and then after that, just give it a rest. You know, that's a good way to look at all of life. Give it a rest. Donna stated it very well in the song she sang. Rest in me. You know, Jesus, our wayshower, our elder brother and master teacher, talked about that. He said, "Come to me, and I will give you rest. I will bring you peace." That's easy to say and sometimes difficult for us to do. It's difficult for us to approach that place within ourselves where we are at full presence and contact with what in unity we call the Christ within. It's difficult for us to do that. And the reason is because of all this chatter and bombardment of information and so forth going on in the outer. And it goes on so much, it's just incessant. It goes on all the time. Then what happens is that our minds talk within and carry on a conversation with ourselves, and it usually goes something like this. "I am so tired of hearing this going on like this, I just can't hardly stand it anymore. I wish it would just stop. I wish that I didn't have to listen to this all the time. I just wish that there was some place that I could go where I didn't have to listen to this and that I could just have a nice, peaceful life. Is there any place like that? I'm wondering if there is. I'm wondering if maybe I took a vacation that I could get away from it all. I wish I was on vacation right now. I wish this would just stop. If only it would stop. And it just goes on like this within our minds. Always. Constant chatter. You know, I think I'm gaining some weight. I think I look a little older. Have I lost some hair? I'm just wondering. And it just goes on and on like this. Constantly. We're just asking ourselves these questions. We're constantly making these statements. These statements that just won't allow us to get any rest. So we have to forcefully say to ourselves, peace, be still, knowing that all is well. If we can get in the habit of doing that, when we see and recognize this strain and stress coming forth in our lives, then we can give it a rest. There's 3 parts of our lives that we really need to pay attention to. One is what's happening to our body. Are we getting enough sleep? Are we getting enough exercise and rest? Are we stressful, or are we finding a way to calm that stress? You know, prayer and meditation is probably the 2 best ways to do that. It really is. If you're not meditating enough in your life, then you will feel stress build up and not even recognize it's there. And the next thing you know, gee, you've got a cold. Something is happening. You don't feel well. A headache, some other ailment starts to rise. And this is only the body trying to talk to you and say, let's rest. Let's calm down. Let's take stuff at a different frequency and level. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to stop doing all the things that are necessary for you to do every day. It simply means that you find a new way of doing it. A way that the Chinese Zen people call Wu Wei. I haven't talked about that in a long time. Wu Wei. Translated means action through non-action. Or even more closely, the translation means doing nothing. But that doesn't mean sitting still and doing absolutely nothing. It means not taking any extra energy or any kind of extra effort to do that which is necessary for you to do. Finding the easiest way, the most common denominator, the most peaceful way for you to carry forth a task. I once knew an older gentleman when I lived in Tennessee, years and years ago. Everybody called him Pappy, Pappy Miller. He had been a bricklayer and block layer most of his life. He was building by himself at probably around the age of 80. He was building a garage in the back of his, and a shop garage in the back of his property, and he lived next door to me. I went over to him and said, Pappy, you know, you need me to help do anything? No, I got it. I got it all handled here. And so I sat back and just watched him work. And he was Wu Wei in action. This man had been doing this so long that every motion was just like watching somebody do a ballet or a dance. He would take this trowel and he would hold it in his hand and reach over and grab this brick and put concrete on it and set it in place and wipe it and reach over and grab the next one. And just watching him do this was absolutely amazing. He didn't huff, he didn't puff, he didn't wipe sweat off his brow. He just did this dance, this motion that he had learned over years and years to do. And it was Wu Wei, action through non-action, in motion. Beautiful to watch him do this. He built the entire place by himself, mixed up all the concrete by hand, and watching him do that was wonderful too. Just smooth every action was. He didn't force anything, he was just smoothly doing it. And I learned a lot from just watching him do this. I learned to do things that way for myself. Mow the lawn, carry things outside, all the different things that a person has to do. I tried to learn from that experience. What it did for me is learn how to give it a rest. Give my body a rest and just use the action and the force and the energy and the strength necessary to do the job. I carried it even further into learning how to play the guitar, so that there is a way of playing guitar that I had been taught that I had to unteach myself, because when I got into the recording studios, I was making noises that were coming across on the tape, squeaking noises with my fingers, because I was sliding my fingers down the strings and they were going, and that comes out on the recording and you hear it. You have to lift your hand and move it very gracefully from one place to another, very carefully, making sure that you don't allow your fingers to knock on the body of the guitar as they come down. You have to play a certain way, and after a while you realize, this is much easier. This doesn't hurt. I don't feel tired afterward. I can do this forever. But it took a new learning to do it, in order to give it a rest. That's what was necessary. Now, there's another part of life besides the body that needs this give it a rest going on. And that's the mind. And we talked quite a bit about that. I've already talked about that. The mind that is always chattering and carrying on. The best thing you can do with that chatter, I often say this when we're in meditation, is not to fight against it. Don't start up a conversation with the conversation that's going on in your mind. Don't try to tell it, stop, stop, stop. I don't want to be thinking about that. Stop. Because it will just continue on. And if anything else, it'll just take up the conversation with you. Why? Why do you want us to stop? Don't you realize that life is important? I need to be thinking all the time. I'll never get anything done if I don't think all of it. So it just goes on like this. Rather, instead, you just say, thank you for sharing. Allow it to continue to talk over there if it wants to, and move on. Move on to a more centered, focused place in our lives. So that takes care of the mind. If we can just sort of allow the mind to do what it does, know that it's just natural. After a while, it actually calms. Actually, that conversation will finally stop happening. You know why it happens? Because we have a belief that there are two realities. And I've talked about this before in the past. Two realities. I think it's important to remind all of us. The two realities are the reality that is, and the reality that we have created that says this is the way it ought to be. So there we are on one side, and this conversation is saying what is isn't what it ought to be. And it's constantly talking about what ought to be, ought to be, ought to be. And it sets up standards for life that are just unattainable. And it likes that. It likes doing that to ourselves. So calming that and realizing that what is really good. It's accomplishing itself. It's unfolding in a natural way. It is, once again, wu-wei of the mind, the mental wu-wei. We just listen to it. Then there is the third part of ourselves, and that's the spiritual dimension. The one that, frankly, most of us don't pay attention to very much. We don't pay attention to it because we don't understand it. It's invisible. There's no way to identify with it, we think. So we just talk about it, but we don't experience it. But it's real. The only way we can find it and know about it and get to the point where we are comfortable with it is to be still. To still ourselves. To allow what is to be what is. And allow our bodies to relax. When we do this and become really still, suddenly something else comes forth that we haven't been very aware of. But it's always been there. It's always there. Guiding us, nurturing us, giving us wonderful advice on how to do life, but never, ever forcing itself upon us. It's just there. Always. Always there. If we turn to it and simply start asking it questions, it will give us the correct answers. What should I do about this relationship? It'll tell us. Am I following my true path in life? It'll tell us. Is this really going to be the best way for me to handle this situation? It'll tell us. The body, the mind, and the spirit all being at rest actually allow us to be energized, and we function at a higher level. We function at a level which gives us the ability to do that which is ours to be done from the creation of the world. It's there for us, and our purpose comes forth very plainly to us then. Very plainly. So try that sometime in your life. Try it now. Try it every moment. Just give it a rest. Give your body a rest. Give your mind a rest. Give your emotions a rest. And you'll find that life is much, much easier to do. And you'll enjoy life quite a bit more than you have in the past. God bless.
Yes.